Okay, everyone, I got some royalty
Ooh.
joining with me, Queen PR from those wrestling girls. How are
Yay!
you?
I am so excited to honestly be on your show. I loved that you started a podcast. I was like, oh, this is dope. The weekly guest, love it. So I'm very happy to be here, and it's like what better, especially during Mania season.
It's Mania season, honey. It is Mania season. We just talked about how we're both going to be down there. I am so excited to be in like an LA WrestleMania city, you know?
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
different than Dallas. Like it's like gonna be a completely different, sunny vibe, I hope, which I'm excited for.
Prayers for no earthquakes cuz
That part.
that is what I'm scared of is earthquakes. I Could you imagine us being in the stadium of WrestleMania and there's an earthquake?
Yo, my city as wouldn't even know what to really do besides like scream. Like what the fuck is happening?
I know. Like I'm like, okay, I'm from New York and you're from New York as well. So
Mhm.
like my ass wouldn't even know what to do in an
Like legit, I would
earthquake.
be like, okay, the world's ending. What's happening right
I
now?
know. Like, do we have to stand in a doorway, like under our desk? I have no idea
No.
what's
You
happening.
try to remember like that one sitcom you watched as a kid and was like, what did they do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whatever they did was probably wrong.
The opposite of that.
Probably. So what are you excited about for WrestleMania? What are you looking forward to? I saw that you're ready to shake your ass at Wally Mania.
Oh, 100%. It's funny because last year I decided to go to Dallas because I wasn't able to celebrate my birthday because I had COVID, and I was like, the only thing I went to Dallas with the only thing booked was Wale Mania because I was just like, you know what? I missed the one in New York. That's what I'm gonna go do. So this year I'm also excited for it because it has an LA vibe. And
Mhm.
I met a lot of people last year at Wale Mania, but this year I wanna like, now link up with my friends. Like I'm like, I can't wait to see you. I
Mhm.
can't wait to just see like, especially all the new people because I really feel like this year is going to be much bigger than last year just because of all the hype and all of that and everyone that's coming.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely excited about that. But Mania card wise, this is one where unlike last year, I had that one focus Stone Cold Steve Austin period. This year, there's like a lot of different elements to it that I'm excited about. One of them being Charlotte and Rhea,
Mhm.
because I'm
Sounds good.
very curious of how they're gonna do this because it's like Charlotte as a baby face and then Rhea needing to me, I feel like she needs this win over Charlotte. But it's like, is that the right way to go? Like, do we have a heel walkout as champion at Mania? So it's one of those, all the women's matches I think are kind of like, it can go either way.
Yeah, I agree. But also, like, when was the last time we've seen a heel in the women's division walk away with a championship at WrestleMania?
Mm,
And right now, Rhea is like at the height of her game with the Judgment
right.
Day, like bringing in Dominic Mysterio into that as well. And it's an interesting dynamic because she's so close to one family legacy. And now
Mm,
she's trying to conquer another family legacy with Charlotte Flair, and she's been there before and she unfortunately didn't succeed. But that was
yeah.
with the NXT championship, you know? And she's grown so much in the last
So
3 years because that was 2020.
much. Mm-hmm.
Time is an illusion.
I'm like, sheesh.
Oh, shit. I feel like that was just like 2 years ago. Oh my
Honestly, like,
God.
oh, you mean like last year? Oh, 3 years ago. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Cause 38 and then oy, we're getting old. But I
Uh,
also thought it was really interesting Charlotte's promo on Friday talking about the legacies with Flair going into
mhm.
WrestleMania as a champion, or Rhodes going into WrestleMania as a challenger. And so I think with this WrestleMania overall with night 1 and night 2, it's a little unpredictable.
Yeah,
I would say. I think that everyone's rooting for certain people, but like overall, I don't know who's going to walk out as champion with any championship or match.
oh my God. Agreed. Like, even as much as I don't want Roman to lose the championships, and I was also skeptical on Cody's role in that feud, because I was like, is it one of those things where the Royal Rumble winner is kind of getting in the way of the momentum of another storyline? But I think Cody has entered it very well, especially after the other night. And with that one, like, Cody is red hot. Like, he is absolutely, he gives me like John Cena vibes, like the hero and like all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, they might just take the, they may just, as a part of the bloodline feud. And I don't want that to happen, but I'm also like, I can see that happening, like, so it can really go like either way with that one. I know a lot of people want Bianca to be undefeated at Mania. I am one of those people that like don't mind an upset sometimes, because it's like, shake it up.
Yeah.
Like Bianca.
I don't want to be happy all the time.
Right. It's like our opponent isn't like the worst. Like, if Asuka walks out of Mania champion, like, is that really like the worst thing that ever happened?
Yeah.
So that's another one where it can easily, go either way. I'm curious, do you want to see Bianca be like that Undertaker streak vibe, like undefeated at Mania, or do you think it should kind of play itself out?
I think it should play itself out. I think it would be cool to see if she had that streak, but how would they keep up with it is my like curiosity with Bianca. And cuz with the Undertaker, it seemed like they didn't notice until maybe someone on the internet pointed it out, and they're like, damn, we got to keep up with this. You're undefeated somehow, so let's put up the numbers. That's how it felt like with the Undertaker. At least,
like literally, like, oh, somehow this is okay, let's roll with this.
Damn, we got a story here. Yeah. Something like that. But with Bianca, like, I love Bianca on both sides of the spectrum as a challenger and as a champion. I think that she's doing well as a champion. It's just, I think as the company, in the booking wise, I think they just don't know what to do with the rest of the women that aren't, the three horsewomen. Sorry, the three horsewomen, or Asuka or Rhea or Bianca, like that. Yeah. Both women's division has a lot of great talent, and I just don't think that they're utilizing it enough as they should. And I think that Bianca would have a lot of great chemistry with other women if they just gave the other women just a little bit more of a chance. And so for me, I agree. I think if there's an upset and Asuka wins, I mean, Asuka isn't the worst person to win the title at WrestleMania against Bianca.
Like this version of her.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I saw someone on Twitter say that they predict, what they want is Asuka wins the Raw Women's Championship, and then on Monday Night Raw, Miko Satomura moves up to the main roster and challenges Asuka. Listen.
That seems like you don't want to, like you said, like you don't want to get your hopes up. You don't want to like fantasy book yourself into a shoot.
Yeah.
But imagine. I mean, it's likely though.
It might happen, cool. Yeah. I mean, Miko Satomura is such a legend in the Joshi world, and the fact that the company has had her for so long, for years now at this point. She was stuck in UK. She's doing her thing in NXT right now with Roxanne Perez, and I'm sure that is going to be an amazing bout, and Stand and Deliver is going to be a great show nonetheless. But having Miko Satomura in this company moving up to the roster, like, again, we still have a lot of women in the division that need more time, but again, you have a veteran that could bring that out in them, like I would love to see Liv Morgan versus Miko Satomura. That would be really great, like at SummerSlam.
Yes.
Right? I think that would be great.
Sure.
So I see that you have a little shirt, a little Bloodline.
Oh, I do.
Shirt. Yeah. So, okay, so you were talking about it before. I assume that you are absolutely loving the Bloodline story that's happening.
So much.
And so now it's so good. It's so good. But now that like Sammy is no longer in that scene with Roman, but now he had that beautiful hug with Kevin Owens. It has been confirmed that at WrestleMania it will be the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I know. Like, how do you feel about that going in?
I'm totally into it because I couldn't love any of the people involved more between Sammy and Kevin. And I've been a Sammy fan also, like all these bandwagon Sammy fans recently. I'm like, no, I love the when he had the documentary crew following him and like all of that. Like I was just like, he's like gold. But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want Kevin Owens and Sammy to take the belts from the Usos. Also, I do feel like the Usos need to lose them, at least one of them, just to spice things up. But I'm all the way here for it. Like, Alex, I don't understand how I'm still so invested into, like, my sister and I literally watch this. Like, we'll have it on mute, like, for other things, but, like, when they're on, we're like, okay. It's like, it's almost like the rest of Raw and SmackDown is like the commercial to, like, this, like, soap opera that we're so into. And then we're twins, and then the Usos are twins, and we're always just like, we would never let Roman do that. Like, when, during the pandemic, when Jay was basically getting, like, disciplined and, like, Jimmy was injured, and we were both like, I would never let my twin get beat on national TV. So it's just so fun. And, like, the mind game, like, it's so good. Like, to this day, like, I'm like, I can't believe it. It's just so good.
Yeah, it's great. I am a little sad that Sammy wasn't included in that, like, feud with Roman and Cody, or like something. Like, I could have seen it turn into a triple threat. I think it would have been like a little more spicier to the food if you would bring in Sami Zayn and it's like Roman and Cody and they're building up, but like last minute or something, Sammy comes in and like does a swerve, and they were cooking with that storyline. Like the Elimination Chamber, I was hooked.
It was like edge of your seat. You're like, okay, no, like what, like. We don't know. And then everyone's playing their roles so well. Like, I always have to shout out Paul Heyman because he just adds that like perfect touch because he's just so like expressive and dramatic. I'm like, this is literally like, just feed me more of this forever and ever. But I do agree with you. I think a triple threat would have been fun. And I think it would have made Roman retaining a little bit more digestible because it's like, okay, he had like two people to, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah. Because I do feel like some people want the belt off of Roman. Like, not me, but I think some people are like ready for that.
Yeah.
You know?
I think some people are ready for a Cody era. You know, I think everyone is ready for a Cody era. And again, it's so fascinating the way that wrestling works, right? Because I feel like if Cody wasn't injured last year, I think that would have happened at SummerSlam and he probably would have taken the title off of Roman. And because he got injured, that's how some way or another Sammy got into this feud, did amazing, or got into the bloodline, did amazing with the bloodline. Because I remember when Sammy got in it, I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Are you jumping the shark? Yeah, it was mad random. And then the War Games happened, and then like it was so entertaining to see Sammy break the Usos in solo like every single week. They're like breaking character and laughing. Okay. But that's the element, right? Because when we watch Saturday Night Live, for example, when we see one of the hosts like cracking up and breaking character, that's sometimes like the most memorable skits on Saturday Night Live. So when they bring it into WWE, like as fans, we're more entertained from it and we want to see more.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like that. Just even Roman not like letting Jay, like he wanted to turn when Sami said Usi, and Roman like made him like look into the camera. I'm like, that's like really like some fan like cousin shit, because I feel like I would do the same thing to like my sister, like just to like fuck with them. And then you hear the crowd laughing. I'm like, yo, this is the moment that you can't script. You can't script that shit.
You can't. You can't at all. It's fascinating. It's going to be really exciting to see what plays out at WrestleMania. But I have to give you a shout out because I was watching the Royal Rumble press conference and you popped up, and I have to say I was hooting and I was hollering. I was cheering. No, for real, because there's like so many people that like we've come up with, like our
Yeah.
colleagues, as you can say,
Mhm.
who have been grinding in wrestling media for so long. And then I saw you like get up to the microphone. I'm like, oh my God, that's great power to PR. Like, oh my God. Like, I was freaking out. And like, it's so amazing to see not only just so many people in wrestling media, but also just so many women in wrestling media have that opportunity, and they're in that same room and they're asking fascinating questions. So I have to ask, like, what is the environment in that room and how do you set yourself up mentally to be in that room?
It's funny because the first time when we were at Survivor Series, and this was the first time they started doing like the press conferences, and Krista B was able to ask a question, and it was really cool because she was able to ask Bianca a question, and they like familiar with each other. So that whole moment was awesome. I'm like super super shy, and
Mm-hmm.
Krista is literally the opposite of me. So she like grabbed the mic immediately, like no problem. And I was like, cool. Krista couldn't make it to Royal Rumble. So I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
have to ask a question. Like I have to. And the environment of those rooms, it's so nerve-wracking because it's complete silence. Like literally, like if you like move in your chair, like it's gonna like echo in the room. So that already for me is just like, oh my God. And then when the wrestlers come out, it's this awkward, like 5 seconds because you don't know whether to cheer, like what it's like on
Yeah.
both sides. It's just like, okay, what do we do? So once that blows over, and then you kind of just have to just kind of go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the most interesting part is how, I don't know if Triple H trained them or what, but they are able to like really balance being in kayfabe and not like that line, which is so fascinating to me. Like even like Rhea Ripley, I wanted to ask a more serious question about like women's wrestling and all that kind of stuff. And someone asked it. So my friend Brian was like, why don't you ask a fun question? Like, she talked about the title. I was like, you're right. I mean, she did just win Royal Rumble. So I'm like, how would you
Yeah.
celebrate with the Judgment Day, which was great because then like I made Rhea Ripley smile. So I was just like, oh my God. But even just like there was a lot of I want to say feedback to keep it nice, but a lot of people are not happy that we ask kayfabe questions in the press conferences because the internet wrestling community want the tea. They're like, why didn't you ask about Vince McMahon? Why didn't you ask about this? And I'm like, of course you're in a room with these people and you want to get that information, but it's like sometimes it's just not the time and the place. And a lot
Exactly.
of people also don't realize nothing is prepped. So there is also like a trust level there with press where and I get it, like some publications you want to get that type of information, but also you have to cater to your fan base. Like I feel like those Wrestling Girls fan base would want to know how Rhea Ripley sold. You know what I mean? So it's like it doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be like that. So I'm very interested to see what the WrestleMania press box is going to be because I'm like, people now that that's out there, people are. It's going to be way bigger, of course, because it's Mania. And I'm just like, I wonder what questions are going to start being asked, and you know, like the talent have to tread that line, and so do we do as well, and which is so
Mm-hmm.
fascinating about wrestling. Like you know
Yeah. I see, I saw that discourse on wrestling Twitter, which is a freaking hellscape.
Ugh,
But I saw that discourse and I was like, be fucking for real. like
yeah,
like you said, there's a time and place, but you also have to be so realistic. They
right,
are not going to answer that question
like
with the
come
way that you think that they, like, if you ask
on.
them
Right.
about, hey, Vince McMahon, he's back in the thing, blah blah blah. Like, if you ask someone, like for instance Rhea Ripley, she's not going to answer that in the way that you do, like in the way that they would want her
Right,
to. And like, it's just it's just not going to happen. And even if
right,
you do ask them, they are so professionally trained, especially in the performance center, that they know how to dodge those questions.
Oh,
They know how to be professional. You know, like I've seen instance where, you know, when I was working at Complex, and you know, I saw a, I'm not going to get into detail who it was, but I saw a superstar kind of handle that from a fan perspective, where a fan kind of went up to them and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about your new boss, Triple H?" Because it was around that time last year. And I saw this, you know, superstar just like was so poised, and they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. And we were walking anyway, you know, so it was just like easy to play off. But it was so professional, and it's like they're not gonna
yeah.
get nitty gritty dirty. And I
Right.
think that comes with AEW's press conference as well, because so many people are
Mhm.
conditioned to that kind,
Right.
and that's where you can do it. And I
Right.
think that's the difference between that, right?
Mhm.
Because I think the pill that is so hard for people to swallow is that WWE is sports entertainment.
Right.
AEW is professional wrestling. And in that aspect, you can ask those questions, which is how we
Mhm.
got moments like MJF going off on all the reporters, or CM Punk having his very calm and collective moment during a press conference.
He was so chill.
But I know, but it's like, you know, those are just things that they're just not going to answer, especially
Right.
after a huge event
Like,
at the
ugh,
Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, WrestleMania. Exactly. I think, you know, if there are journalists or wrestling media people that are going to go into the press conference and ask that, like, they got to be pretty self-aware that they're not going to get the answer that they are looking
right.
for, and so are the
Exactly.
fans. And it's hard, but you know, probably doing the media calls, when they do the media calls before an
That's the
event,
I
you
think
can
that's the
ask.
in the place. Right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like these bigger interviews with like Ariel Awana, or even
Mhm.
like on ESPN, maybe they'll ask that.
Yeah.
But also, you know, they also have PR people, you know, Queen PR. They
Right.
have PR people where they're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you can't ask this and that and this and that and this and
Right.
that." And that's just realistic, not only in wrestling, but also throughout all of
Everywhere, especially
entertainment.
for a billion-dollar company. What
Hmm.
I did like though, was there were more women in the room compared to Survivor Series to Royal Rumble, which was great. And there were familiar faces like Ella J and like Emily. And so that was nice. And Denise, and just seeing, you know, meeting people you've been like following on social media and admiring their work, and then now meeting them in this environment, it was so beautiful. And Triple H is very fair when it comes to
Hmm.
making sure like women are heard in the room. Like I remember Survivor Series, what's her name, Issa, was like
Yeah.
raising her hand the whole time no one called on her, and Triple H was like, wait, you know, can we call on this young lady over here? And then of course I was like, what? Like you got my favor. So because it is very, it's a male dominated industry, and like that term is used a lot, but when you're in a room where you're literally like the minority in so many ways, you feel it the most, and you kind of like have to like raise your hand harder and like, you know, make yourself seen even more. So the fact that there were now more women, and I can't wait to see like what it's like this year, I'm like, this is exactly like what we wanted. There needs to be more women in these rooms.
Yes, 1000%. And like, you know, women are going to be in that room, and like I've been in a room, I've never been in a press conference like that before, but I've been in a room where like I am the only woman there, and I feel it's not death stares, it's not dirty looks, but people just looking at me like, "Oh, who is that girl? Like who is that? Who is that?" I already have social anxiety to begin with, so it's even like amplified
A
when I'm
hundred
in a room like that, you
percent.
know? And so, like, it's nice to see other women that, again, you've connected with online, but not only that, like, you admire and you've supported from a distance, and to finally be in the same room together, working, you know, and being a beacon of representation within this wrestling media, and not only just the media but in the community as well, in the fandom. And
Mhm.
it's a beautiful thing to see, because I'm sure you agree, when I started there were almost no women in wrestling media, and the fact that even now we can have more than 5 women in that room working for different
Right.
publications, and just being and experiencing being in that room. But not only that, for the people that are holding this event to be like, yo, you need to start calling more women.
Yeah.
They probably have more interesting questions, which is like, sorry. If you get mad about it, sorry about it. But like, you know, but it's beautiful to see. I love it.
No, it really is. And we only started, well, sheesh, time goes by, but like in November, it'll be 5 years. And there were not even as many of us like at all. And now I'm like, like
I know
all the names.
there's so many. Yeah, when I started 6 years ago, there was hardly any, but Jesus Christ, I'm just gonna go back. Not us, almost making 10 years.
Right? Jeez.
Oh my God. But even then, like when we do make 10 years, it's gonna be
Yeah.
amazing to see how many more women are gonna be a part of that room, right? Be a part of not even just in the WWE room, but also in the AEW room, doing press for Impact, for New Japan, and everything in between, you know? So it's I always say anytime someone that I've seen grow up with me in this internet business world, where it's just beautiful to see so many of us at the table, you know?
Yeah. I love it. And we celebrate next week in LA.
I know. Are you doing the press conference this week?
I don't know yet. I never know till the day of, because
got it.
we had like all the shit with her like job or whatever. So I'm like hoping so.
Yeah.
Also, I want to have fun.
I
I realized the only time I travel, like my coworker was like, the only time you travel is to do wrestling stuff. Like you need a vacation. I'm just like, yo, you're right. But that's such a like wrestling is such an easy way to visit cities. Like I would never go to like Nashville, Detroit in August. I'm just like, I would never go to these places, but wrestling brings me there.
I know. I would never go to Dallas, but I went last year for WrestleMania. Like, never go to Dallas. Like, but Dallas. Now I love Dallas because everywhere there was Dr. Pepper, and Dr. Pepper is my number one soda.
Nice.
So, like, to get up from my seat at WrestleMania and go up to the concession stand, and they had Dr. Pepper, but they had, like, the cups where you put it on the surface, and then the soda comes up instead of, like, an actual water, like a fountain.
Oh my god!
Dallas is ahead of us.
Yeah, I actually did enjoy that city way more than I thought I would ever.
Yeah, me too. I was like, not Dallas being good.
I know. And it's funny, no shade to where the fuck was San Antonio, but it did not have the same vibes. The food wasn't as good. It wasn't as like walkable like Dallas was. Like it just was. I was like, oh, this ain't hitting. Have you been to LA before?
I have. This is my third time in LA.
Okay, I've never been. So excited.
You know what? Because we're both city girls. LA is such a different ecosystem. To see, like, I love driving around LA. Rather, I love being the passenger princess in LA because I don't know how to drive.
Me neither. That's so funny.
I love being that because I love seeing the mountains. And we don't see mountains. Like, mountains don't exist. I remember the first time I went to LA, it was a little bit of a culture shock for me because I was like, this looks like the backdrop of every single movie I've ever watched when I was like 8 years old.
Like for real.
It really like is like surreal because Hollywood is such a monumental, like iconic place, you know, like the Hollywood sign, the Walk of Fame, you know, the Chinese Theater, Beverly Hills, like it's so ingrained into our Western culture. And so to go over there is like a culture shock. Like it's like, whoa, I'm like in Tinsel Town, you know?
Oh my god. I'm so ready for that reason because I'm just like all the movies and shit I've watched. I'm like, okay, I can't be in LA. You just reminded me I gotta buy like hella sunglasses.
I gotta buy hella sunscreen. Actually, you just reminded me.
That part. I got sunburned in Vegas. It was like the worst thing ever.
I can't. I can't. If I get sunburned and I'm sitting at WrestleMania, I'm gonna be so annoyed.
You will not. I'm not even gonna put that out there. You will not. Definitely not.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Okay, so WrestleMania. It's coming
Yes.
next week. I am really looking forward to the set designs for WrestleMania.
Ooh.
I am.
And I'm such a like film gold, like the whole theme this year is like everything that I like. So I'm like, I wonder like what they're gonna do with that. They also leaned very heavy into the Hollywood aspect. I didn't expect that, but I'm glad because we got the skits and all that. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. But they're gonna go ham. That's so
Yeah.
funny. Like I just know it.
I want to see like a 20-story
Ooh.
Oscar as the set design.
I'm here for that.
What if they have like an Oscar and it's like the Hollywood sign, but it's the WrestleMania logo and it's like the mountains or something like that. That's my prediction. Hopefully not a long ass ramp.
They don't need that. They don't need to be gassed before
they don't know that. They don't need that.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope it's like short and sweet. I love the Oscar idea. I do like, I want that like glittery tinsel town type of vibe, especially with Miz as the host. I hope Maurice makes a ton of guest appearances. Like, please. Like anytime I see Miz, I'm like, where's Maurice?
Oh no. Maurice. She did an Instagram post and she posted like all of her outfits from the past and she like hinted at being at WrestleMania and I'm like, girl, I'm gay. You can't do that to me, all right? Like listen, that red outfit that she wore at the Royal Rumble last year lives rent free in my head.
So good. Oh, she never misses.
Never. Respectfully, the girls are always girling. The girls are sitting.
So good. I'm like, just like, that's why I have like no issues with the Miz. I'm like, I'm a huge fan of his, but I'm also just like, y'all gotta stop coming for him. Like, he's won. That's it. It's nothing. Like, look at his wife. That's it.
I just know he can't fight.
Oh, I know. I don't know if he can fight, but I will take
his wife. I'll take his wife.
I'll try.
I'll take his wife.
You know, I'll like, Maurice, I'm working hard. I can take care of you.
Oh man, who knows? Hopefully Maurice is part of the set design for WrestleMania. Hopefully. Yes. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But hopefully.
Yeah.
But for our shoot and boot segment for this week, we are going through WrestleMania set designs from the past. I asked everyone in my Discord, my lovely Queendom community in my Discord, what were their favorite WrestleMania set designs. So right now we're going to go through it, and if you like it, you give it a shoot. If you don't like it, you give it a boot. You got a little cute story to tell about it, I want to hear about it.
Oh, I love this.
Sounds good?
Yes, that sounds great.
Good. Okay. First up, we have WrestleMania 37. It was in Tampa Bay. We've got the Pirates themed. What do you think? What does the queen of the PR think about this?
So I wasn't feeling it. So I'm going to give it a boot.
Ooh, okay.
Because, I don't know, the pirate theme, it didn't really hit for me. And I was like really, really excited because this was like the first Mania with a crowd again. So I was like, okay, like, well, what is it going to be? It was supposed to be somewhere else. Like, and then this kind of just was like, womp womp. But then someone told me about like the team in Florida. I don't know sports, but it like has something to do with that. So I was just like, okay.
Tampa Bay football team. I think this is the stadium.
Something like that.
I don't know. I think Tom Brady was there. Maybe he wasn't. If it's not Derek Jeter, I don't know, honestly.
That part. That part. Shout out to the Bronx.
BX. Yeah, this is gonna get a boot from me. See, I have a few things about this set design. One, Kyrie wasn't there, I don't think. Nothing happened with Kyrie with the boat. Very disappointed. And two, Kevin Owens didn't jump off the boat.
Now that would have been cool. That would have been cool.
So for those reasons alone, I'm gonna give this a boot.
Ooh,
Boot,
ooh.
boot. Okay, next we have WrestleMania
Ooh.
24. I believe this was in Orlando. It's a choice.
It was a choice. I'm gonna have to give it a boot.
Hmm.
It just, I don't get it, and I think that's the problem. At least with the pirate themed one, it was like, okay, I gotcha. But this is like, I don't really get it. And when I see any type of like like texture type of thing, I think of like a city. So when you said Tampa, I was just like, or is this Tampa
No, this is Orlando. This is
or
Florida.
Orlando, Florida? I was just like, it just, it doesn't hit for me. Like it kind of looks kind of randomish.
It doesn't fit the vibe of Florida. It definitely doesn't. And I agree. Like if there were no palm trees in this photo, I would think this was either in Chicago or New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would think that. Or even like maybe Detroit a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't think of Florida when I think of this. Again, it's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a boot.
Not feeling that.
It's
It's
a
a
boot.
boot
I'm not
for
feeling it
sure.
either. But next, we got a little
Boot.
simple one. This is from WrestleMania 32 in Dallas. Of course, last year we were both in Dallas. They still stuck with the Cowboys themed with the star. This one is okay. I'm gonna say that I prefer last year's set design. What do you think?
I agree. I do prefer last year's. I am gonna give this a shoot because I'm like I like simple. Like I like,
Hmm.
clean, and like it's so like we know the star, we recognize the star. We're like, okay, Texas. So I'm gonna give that a shoot.
Okay.
It's
Okay. You know what? I I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna give it a soft shoot
okay. You're more
because
leaning that way. Okay.
I'm a little leaning like you're persuading me to lead that way because I agree with you. I like the simplicity of it. It's just WrestleMania with the star and like I definitely can tell that they're in Dallas. Um as opposed to the simplicity of WrestleMania 35. Remember when it was just that screen? Like
Yeah.
that's so boring.
It was so, especially to be like where it took place. It's like, really, guys, we could have done way better than this.
That ass though.
It was just like,
Like
come on, come on.
we couldn't have like I don't know. We were in New York. We couldn't have like a chopped
Yeah.
cheese as like a set design or something like that.
No, WWE really dropped the ball with that one.
I know there should have been like Tim's and a puffer jacket for that
At
one.
least Yankee fitted somewhere. Like, come on.
Something, but yeah, okay. We both agree this is a shoot. This is a shoot. Next, we have WrestleMania 34. This was
Ooh,
a beautiful set design. And I will have to say, WrestleMania in New Orleans is the vibe. It is the best city for WrestleMania.
mm, I can so see that. I've never been, but I've never been to New Orleans either. But I can just see that just being the place because the street, because WrestleMania streets like are like electric, like you just feel it. You see all the wrestling fans with the t-shirts and everything, and then you add the New Orleans vibe to that. I could only imagine how amazing that feels. But I'm gonna give this a shoot. The
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
colors, it matched the theme, but it wasn't like it didn't overdo it in my opinion. Because sometimes I could like overdo it, but this is just beautiful to me. I love it.
I love it. I love the different font that they used for the
Yeah,
WrestleMania. I love the W and the M on this set design. You
of
can
course.
tell they're in New Orleans, which is the thing for me when it comes to WrestleMania set designs. They're
Mhm.
traveling every single year. So I want to see where you are instead of just like looking it up online or hoping that commentary mentions where they are. You
Right.
know, that's how I get the vibe of this city that is hosting WrestleMania. And this was fun. The Mardi Gras themed, you have the mask, and it was so cool to see how it changed colors with everyone's entrance. Like we had the all gold for Charlotte Flair. It was so
One of my
vibrant for
favorite.
Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh God, that entrance, that Charlotte Flair entrance,
So good. That's one of my
so
like
good.
favorite WrestleMania matches with her and Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the first Mania I watched when I got back into wrestling, and I was just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, she just looked so the gold. I was just like, yes, 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 yes. So I think of that when I think of this set, and I think that's why I just love it so much.
Yeah, this is definitely a shoe. And like you said, the streets of WrestleMania, it's always popping with fans just always chanting and cheering. And I do have to say, Bourbon Street was on another level. It was on a level up because Bourbon Street, I assume, is just always like that. But the fact that there were fans there throughout all of Bourbon Street, that was during like Shinsuke Nakamura. So everyone was singing the Shinsuke song. This was, I think, like the Woken Jeff Hardy, or I'm sorry, Matt Hardy. So everyone was like doing the delete and everything. Fans were even wrestling in Bourbon Street, and people were throwing like the hurricanes and the grenades and everything. Like,
I hope they go back soon because I need to
I,
experience this.
yeah, girl, you need to experience New Orleans at WrestleMania. And like that city was so walkable. Like everything was so close. The stadium, the arena for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, WrestleCon. WrestleCon was actually across the street from Bourbon Street, from like the entrance of
That is,
Bourbon Street.
love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
So this is my plea to WWE. Go back to New Orleans.
Please. Please. That sounds like a dream.
Oh my God, hopefully. Next, we have a little bit of an underrater. It is WrestleMania 19. And we've got like the Space Needle. I believe they were in Toronto for this one, if I'm not mistaken. And if I am, then I'm probably wrong. It was one of those cities with Toronto or Seattle. I'm not too sure. They both have those needle buildings. I think
right.
I think that they were theming that WrestleMania design with that, and it's cute.
I like it. I like it. I'll give it a shoot. Because sometimes they can be so busy, and I just like that this is just like super simple. And if it was in Toronto or whatever it was, if that's, I don't know. I like it.
Seattle. It was in Seattle.
Oh, it was in Seattle. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna say it gives me those vibes as well. So I'm gonna say a shoot.
I'm gonna give it a shoot. I actually just recently been to Seattle, so this is a great. I thought it was in Toronto. For some reason, I always mix up the needles, the buildings. They're like the same thing. A lot of needles and not a lot of buildings. But now that I know it's Seattle, I was just in Seattle. This makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this is cute. You know, like when I think of Seattle, I do think of that needle building, whatever the hell it's called. I think about that building, and I think about coffee. So
yeah,
it's a shoe. I think this is a shoe. Yeah.
And I can see that like on a shirt, and where it's not too great. It's like nice and subtle. I love it.
Yeah. And this is also like a WrestleMania part of my childhood too, you know? So it kind of gives me a little nostalgia.
That nostalgic, yeah.
Yeah. It makes it even better that I found a photo with Shawn Michaels in it too.
So good. I love how, and he looks amazing. I like what you did there.
Yep. I'm only going to think of this version of him and not the recent one. Anywho. Anywho, WrestleMania 29. It is in our backyard. I'm gonna ask, did you go to this WrestleMania?
I did. And this was my first WrestleMania.
What?
And my boyfriend at the time spent like, I don't even know, a ridiculous amount of money, like maybe 2-3 weeks beforehand. And when I tell you, I was in like the third row from the top, like literally like from the top of like when I say nosebleeds of the nosebleeds, we felt the fireworks because literally the little things were like right there. So like I probably like went deaf a little bit. I didn't go to the bathroom because it was so steep and I could like barely see. But the experience was just like, because I never thought I would go to a WrestleMania. You know, like I wore my Austin 316 shirt that was like holy from when I was like 10, because I was just like, I owe it to like 7-year-old, you know, Patricia to wear this shirt to WrestleMania. And then it just so happened. So I'm gonna give this a shoot because I do like the design, but it's so nostalgic for me. It just so happened to be a WrestleMania because I wasn't watching actively, but Chris Jericho, The Rock, John Cena, it was so many people that I knew that I didn't expect to know. I was like, oh, okay, this is great. So I had a great time because it was just so many of the people that were like still there that I knew. And it was, yeah, shoot all the way. I'm sorry. I haven't thought about this in so long because like recently, like I like had other experiences and I was like, wait, this was like really awesome. And I loved it. It was New York, but like not too much. Like 35.
Yeah.
35 was like, I don't know.
Good. I'm glad that I can give you some nostalgia. Now you got to go back and watch that WrestleMania before
I really
next week.
Because I probably didn't even appreciate it like I would like now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to give this a boot.
I'm like, yeah, but no.
I was letting you have your moment. Have your moment. This is your moment. Have it, okay? I'm going to let you have your moment. But I'm going to give this a boot. For the simple reason, listen, this is MetLife. This is not New York. You know what I mean? And so for this one, they leaned so heavy in the New York theme with the Empire State Building, the Manhattan Bridge, the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is really cool. Don't get me wrong. Like on top like that. That is so dope. But it's the tri-state area. It's not New York. And if you've experienced WrestleMania 35, New York, baby, I love you. I was born and raised here, but you are the absolute worst city when it comes to WrestleManias because you have to go to Queens for one show, then it's Madison Square Garden, then White Eagle Hall. That's New Jersey City. That's like maybe 30 to 40 minutes away driving wise. Driving is awful in the city, even if you're coming out of the city from Jersey.
1000%.
Public transportation from Penn Station, New York to the MetLife Stadium is atrocious.
I can't even tell you how long it took us to get home.
Oh
like,
my God.
I don't think I got home. And mind you, this is before the long WrestleMania. So like I got home like maybe 2-3 o'clock just because
for this one for 29
taking the train back to and I was like, this, you can't be serious right now. So I can only imagine like what traffic was like and all that shit. Oh God.
Girl, for WrestleMania 35, it was also in MetLife, so it was also in this stadium. For WrestleMania 35, we got out and we were waiting for the train, and it was such a long line to get on the train because there's thousands and thousands of people trying to get on the train. It started to rain, and it was pouring. I had to throw it away. I had this fleece blanket, this WrestleMania fleece blanket, because I was cold in the arena, so I bought it, and then it started raining, so I had to use it as my umbrella, and it was so soaked, and like I didn't want to get it all like mildew or anything like that, so I threw it away. But because of that, we were like, fuck it, let's order an Uber. There was 4 of us, and the Uber was like $100 or $150, I don't know, but thankfully it was 4 of us, so we split it. But like, it was the worst ever.
Like you said, it's just too congested. Like other cities are more like open. Like New York is just too much. As much as I like it being in my hometown, I also just know, like, let's go elsewhere.
Yeah, and I get like it's close to New York, and New York is I'm sorry, New Jersey, but New York is so much more appeasing or appealing than New Jersey. Like, what is the theme for New Jersey? Like a pork roll, egg and cheese, or something?
So
like
bad. At least they did the splash for 35, New York, New Jersey. Sometimes, like in the branding and everything. 29, it was just like New York. I'm like, it's not though.
You know, they could have leaned really heavy on the Jersey Shore themed
Oh, especially
Like,
this time. Yeah, you're right.
exactly.
Yeah,
This should
yes.
have been the year Snooki came out, or maybe it was. I'm not sure, but you could have had Pauly D DJing at WrestleMania.
Who's actually a good DJ? I'm just
I'm gonna need the marketing team to come to me for
get on
for next year.
it. No, like get on it.
Okay, next and last, it is WrestleMania 35. I think this is universally the best WrestleMania entrance or set design. I think across the board there are so many fans that love it because this was also in Orlando. So compared to WrestleMania 24, they actually leaned into the theme park aspect of Orlando, the like universal earth that is representing the WrestleMania sign with like the roller coasters.
I love that.
The ring on top was a really cool design. I will say the pillars were a little annoying because there were some spots where I was sitting. So actually, fun fact, this photo is the photo I took from my seat at this WrestleMania. This was my first
Oh,
WrestleMania.
nice. Ooh.
Yeah. So I know there's levels to this.
Yeah, I love that.
So this was like, and also I got the sunset and everything. It was beautiful. This was a
Great
great
shot.
set design. The one thing is I have two complaints. The pillars were a little tough to see certain spots during a match. It was the match with Seth Rollins and Triple H when he speared or Stephanie got speared onto the table. I missed that part because of the pillars, which is it's fine. Obscure viewing, it's totally fine. Also, that ramp.
Long. Gorgeous.
So
Though.
long.
It's gorgeous.
Gorgeous, but long. I'm going to give it a shoot. What do you think?
I'm gonna give it a shoot. It's funny because when you said WrestleMania set design, this always comes up first in my mind. Because I was mistaken earlier. I thought 34 was my first WrestleMania back. It was actually 33.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember I was super into Total Divas, and I believe this is where John Cena proposed. I think.
Yes, this was John Cena proposing to Nikki Bella. We don't think about that too much. We edited
I know,
out
it's so
on
random.
the playback.
So random. And then Naomi won. So this is always the first one I think about. I did think it was a little odd at the time because I was like so pessimistic about everything. The ring on top, like I don't know how I feel about that part. I give it a shoot, but I don't know how I didn't like the ring on top.
Yeah, I was curious for like anybody that's listening to this or watching this, if you were at WrestleMania 33 and you were at the nosebleeds, how was the view for this? Because I feel like if I was in the nosebleeds and there's a ring on top and nobody's wrestling in that ring, but you're blocking the ring where everybody else is wrestling, that ring is so much bigger than the ring that's actually on the ground. Like I'd be upset.
And I don't think they even like had anything like even projected in it. Like it was just like a big ass ring on top of a ring, and I was just like, that part is odd. I also like how you can like visibly see everyone getting tired walking down the ring.
Oh my god!
And I gotta give it up to like Naomi, who like she was like, I'm gonna do my whole shtick throughout this whole thing. John Cena ran throughout, like him and Nikki ran. I was just like, how? Oh, yeah, but yeah,
I know.
Gorgeous.
This setup is so funny because someone could be making their entrance. You can go run to the bathroom and make it back to your seat in time for them to just step into the ring.
Oh, seriously. But you know what's interesting is I'm sure WWE like cut it a little bit. Like if you rewatch WrestleMania 3, I'm sure they didn't have the whole entrance, but it still seems long when you rewatch it. So it's like, how long was it in the moment? You know, like
Girl.
without the cuts.
This was before, so the main event was Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. And this was before The Undertaker came out. And at this point, like, they were already doing the video package. And I went to this WrestleMania with my boyfriend at the time and a couple of friends. And we were already laughing because, like, this is the Mania when the Hardys came out. And the Hardys looked like they were, like, gassed going to the ring. And, like, my friends and I were like, yo, what are they gonna do with the Undertaker's entrance? Because he's gonna take a long time if he goes from gorilla all the way down. But he came up from the middle of the ramp. But even still, he was
Because
taking
he's
so
gonna milk it.
long.
He's gonna milk it. So that, I mean, at least he started from halfway.
Oh man, it still took too long.
It really did. This is one of my favorites, though. I will admit, it's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah. This is a shoot. This is
Shoot.
definitely a shoot. All right, Patricia. This was amazing. This was wonderful. Going through the WrestleMania set designs and our hype, how hyped we are for WrestleMania. This is getting me pumped for next week.
Same. And thank you for taking me through the sets, because that's one thing like I don't think I've ever did. That was really fun. I love this. I love this segment.
Thank you. I'm glad you had fun with it. That makes me very happy. And I can't wait to drink with you next week at WrestleMania.
That part. We're just working to get to that.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell the people where they can find your beautiful, beautiful face.
Oh, thank you. You can find me everywhere at Queen3_PR, and of course follow those wrestling girls everywhere. We are actually, this is not live, but we go on Twitch every week, every Wednesday for Fan Club, every Friday for Sound Off. Subscribe to our Patreon. It's only $1 a month. We have new merch out, and keep supporting all these beautiful women like Alex, especially during Women's History Month. And if you see us in LA, say hi
and buy us a drink.
Bye.